Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Watson, and I want to welcome you into the Man Cave. So in the Man Cave, we'll be talking about sports at all times. We'll be talking about football, basketball, and any other sports topics that you may want to chop it up about. Just email me at themancavechris@gmail.com with any sports topics that you want to discuss, and who knows, we may invite you into the Man Cave to chop it up with me. So welcome to the Man Cave, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started. All right, guys, we are back again for another episode inside of the Man Cave. We are at the midway point of this NFL season. It's been a lot going on, man. It's actually been kind of shocking that they going on alone, man. COVID or not, they gonna push through this year no matter what. As we saw from the 49ers the other night, because they didn't have hardly anybody to play with. And messed up my fantasy for this week as well. Stefan knows that because I'm playing against him, and I had Ayuk playing, and he didn't play. So
Adams. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we fight through this season, man. But it's been entertaining, man. I enjoy it. Again, I'm your host, Chris. And I got my brother and my brother from another mother. We got Chuck joining us today. Chuck, say hey to the people.
Hello, people.
All right. And we got Stefan Blunt in the house with us again. Go ahead and say hey to the people.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back. Let's get it, fellas.
All right. We appreciate you stepping in. Our other two brothers are out this week, but they send their well wishes and they will be back on the next episode. So we're gonna hop right into it, man. This has been a season that I think has been eye-opening. So for our teams, we like to start off with the Rep Your Squad segment. And this week we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with our teams, and then we'll have to fill in for Detroit and Dallas. We'll let y'all kind of let me know what y'all think about that. But Stefan, give us the good, the bad, the ugly with the Cincinnati Bengals in your eyes right now.
Okay, so Cincinnati right now, out of the playoff picture, like we kind of all envision. We're kind of rebuilding right now, but the good, I think Joe Burrow, man, he's been impressive. He's tough. Early on in the season, especially, he was getting beat up. Offensive line not holding up. But he's been tough, man. He says all the right things. He's poised in that pocket, man. He doesn't panic. I know last year, Andy Dalton, man, you put some pressure on Andy, he's folding. He's looking for the pressure. He's ducking. And you kind of seeing that right now in Dallas as well. But I say Joe Burrow is definitely good. We got a good future with Joe Burrow. Doesn't turn the ball over too much, especially for a rookie. He usually has about one turnover a game, I say. But definitely Joe Burrow's good. The bad, I say, is our offensive line, like I kind of mentioned before. Give up a bunch of sacks. I know last week when we played Tennessee, they played a little bit better.
And that was all backups.
They need to be the starters, right?
Right.
So they played a little bit better. And usually the Bengals try to get ball out pretty quick, using, Tyler Boyd in the slot, getting it to T. Higgins. But I definitely say the ugly. And coming off last week doesn't look as ugly, but it's definitely ugly as that defense, man. We need a lot of help on the defensive side. Don't really get too much pressure on the quarterback still. Can't tackle, man. I don't know. Like any running back we play, man, they're going to go off because boys can't tackle. I think Jesse Bates probably one of the leaders, either him or Von Bell, leaders in the league in tackles from a secondary position. So, yeah, so that's never a good sign when your DB is your leading tackle, man. We got to fix that front seven for sure. But overall, I think it's looking up, especially coming off a good win. And I don't have to see us take an L or anything this week because we got to bye. So I think overall we're ascending. I hope we get a new coach. But we'll see how that goes.
I like your coach. I think Zach Taylor is gonna. I think he's turned out much better than what you had. I think he has potential. I think he gives a defensive coaching there to help that defense, man. But I like what Zach Taylor's doing. Actually,
I do.
I want to see Joe Brady, man. I want to see him go get either Joe Brady or Eric Bieniemy.
It's probably too soon for that. I think 2-5 is where y'all are right now. Wins down the road that you if y'all can get it to close to 8-8, 7-9. I mean, for a first-year quarterback, you can't ask for more. That's ascending, and you got a good-looking roster. I like Cincinnati.
I think Cincinnati is definitely on the upswing. I tell you, I like Zach Taylor better than Matt Nagy right now. I can tell you that. Man. I can tell you that.
Let's think about it. You don't, but y'all 5-2.
Hey, exactly, and I think it could be better. And if it wasn't for Chicago's defense, we'd be 2-5. But Chuck, let's go ahead. We'll go to you now. Give us your good and bad and ugly with them Raiders.
I would say the good is the fact that we've been able to weather a lot of adversity this year with the COVID, with injuries. I mean, we pretty much started off down off top 3 receivers. And we've been able to weather that storm. We hadn't had Trent Brown, but for 2 games, and both games that he was there, he played the whole game with the Chiefs and they dominated, and 1 snap in the first game, and we hadn't had him other than that, and so we hadn't had our full offensive line there. So the good is the fact that we've been able to weather adversity to be 4-3 right now. We had a very big win against Kansas City Chiefs, which let our team know the potential is truly there to beat anybody in the league if you can beat the Chiefs. So they got the confidence. I see them on the uptick right now. So that's the good part of it. The bad part of it is we've been inconsistent. We did have a few bad losses, and that we didn't look good in. I mean, and so I haven't seen this team for a while to be able to stack wins. We have stacked 2 of them. When we started talking about stacking 3 and 4, we hadn't been able to cross that threshold. So I think the bad side is the inconsistency, being able to put it all together. And the ugly is back to the fact that we have been hit hard by the injury bug and by the corona bug. Between Damon Arnett, our rookie first-round cornerback, and aforementioned Trent Brown, and just various receivers. It's just across the board. We've been fighting injuries, and that's been the ugly side of this year. But other than that, I'm feeling really good about where we are, and I really like where we're going.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are is a very versatile team. They've shown that they can run the ball. Derek Carr can get hot and put up some yards and touchdowns. Arguably got one of the top tight ends in the league. I love Darren Waller. I think Waller is right there, just below Kelsey and Kittle, and then Waller's right there. So I like that versatility. The defense look like they're coming along. I like Kwiatkowski in y'all's defense. I told you about Kwiatkowski. I said Kwiatkowski, he's a ball hawk. So I like how he plays in y'all's defense. He seemed like a perfect inside linebacker for that defense. And like I said, other than health wise, if they get healthy at the end of the year, Raiders going to be tough because they can beat you in different types of ways. They can ground it out like they had to do in Cleveland, or they can air it out like they had to do in Kansas City. So that's a good situation there. Gruden, I was never a big fan of in the beginning, but I kind of like what he's doing. I didn't like some of the moves. When they traded Khalil Mack, I was like, But turns out that might not have been a bad move to get the picks that they got and how they're moving forward with that. So that they're looking good. As far as my Bears, man, the good is I'm going to say the defense. Although between the 20s, they give up yards, but they always seem to tighten up in the red zone. They don't give up a lot of touchdowns, which is good because our offense doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. So the thing is, I feel like the Bears have playmakers. I think Allen Robinson is one of the top wide receivers in the league. We got Darnell Mooney, who's come out of nowhere, and I like him. I like Anthony Miller. It seems like we have weapons. Jimmy Graham started off strong this year. And then we got the rookie Cole Kmet, who was starting to starting to kind of build a little steam before he got injured. He's questionable tomorrow. Our offensive line is terrible. David Montgomery has to break 3 tackles before he gets to the line of scrimmage. So he's not really struggling because he gets a lot of catches. I feel like weapons are there. Quarterback play is just too inconsistent, and I put that on Matt Nagy. I think Matt Nagy is the ugly in this situation. I think he tried to do too much with Trubisky. I think he tried to make Trubisky into a player that he's not. He tried to make Trubisky a pocket guy, read the defense. And in 2018, when he let Trubisky run, Trubisky led the league in rushing for quarterbacks in 2018. He can make plays with his feet, and you give him 1 or 2 reads and let him go. You play. You have to kind of play to your players' strengths instead of trying to make them adjust to your game plan, which was what Foles was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And Foles has come in. He's not mobile. And watching, and I watched every play. I tell you, I watched every play. He doesn't. I've seen 5 or 6 times in the past few weeks where the offensive line had to call a timeout because the play clock is running down. He doesn't see it. The offensive line is jumping up, calling timeout, so they're calling timeouts from the sideline, and he's just not. He throws off his back foot. The interception he threw against the Saints was terrible. I said, why are you backing up? And on that play, it's like he sees ghosts. Because on that play, nobody was at him. He backing up and throwing off his back foot, throwing terrible passes. When he steps into it, he's accurate. But Foles is definitely not the guy. I'm looking this year into the draft because I don't think you can go back to Trubisky as much as, I've been a fan of Trubisky. Chuck called him Trubisky. But I've always kind of been a fan of Trubisky because I like the way he's mobile. He's a mobile guy. You try to turn him into a pocket passer, you don't play into his strengths. So, that's my good, bad, and ugly. Good. I love the defense. Khalil Mack and my edge rushers coming off the edge. They're getting pressure with 4. Roquan Smith running around. Eddie Jackson kind of roaming around back there. I love the defense, but if we don't get any better off quarterback play, then it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
I want you to look at it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
From everything I've heard from you and what I keep hearing around the league about when they start talking about the Bears, they're talking about they're underachieving and everything is bad, but you're 5-2 and you're not playing your best football. That's where I look at that. And I do believe that Nick Foles is going to get more comfortable in that offense. And he's that, Trubisky, even though he's mobile, you saw what happened when they put him in for 1 play to run it this time.
He got hurt.
He's hurt.
They're trying to use him like Taysom. He's not Taysom Hill. He's not Taysom Hill at all.
Him running the ball was never going to be a sustainable model to get you to a Super Bowl. I believe that the formula that you got right now with the defense first and the bend but don't break defense right now, I see the Bears holding it together right now, and they have a chance to play that. If they can play that best football going forward or any time in the future going forward, you're 5-2 playing bad football in everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
So,
I need Foles to get hot. If Foles get hot, then we got a chance. But I just from what I've seen from him, and Trubisky, and you're right with Trubisky, you don't run playing runs with Trubisky. You don't run him like Lamar Jackson. He's not Lamar Jackson, but you let him get out the pocket, run some bootlegs, give him a run throw option, and when the play is not there, when the throw is not there, run and give me 6, run and give me 7, get out of bounds, get down. That's what I mean as far as him being mobile. Nick Foles will run to the line of scrimmage and then try to back up to make a throw and then get sacked for a 7-yard loss. That's happened on multiple. I've seen that happen multiple times where nobody's out there. You can run and get a first down. He'll stop at the line of scrimmage and float and try to back up to make a throw and then not throw it. For one, at least throw it out of bounds. Throw it out of bounds, and he'll take a sack. And that's like the most. I'm sitting there like, run. It's like 7 yards right there. Yeah. Run, get out of bounds. That's just frustrating.
Trying to stay healthy.
Right. Right.
And who's you guys third string? Like who's Trubisky's
Tyler
backup?
Bray. Tyler Bray from Tennessee. He's been following Matt Nagy around for years. He was in KC when Matt Nagy was there, and Matt Nagy brought him to Chicago when he, signed him as a backup, but he's a backup. I don't want to see him in the in the game at all. So, and Trubisky's out. He hurt his shoulder on that one play that he was in, so he's out this week. But they say he's week to week. He doesn't need surgery or anything like that. But I wouldn't be upset if they had to go back to Trubisky. I see it as a lateral move. Right now, I see it as a lateral move. I don't see any I don't see what I hope to see from Foles when he came in at right now. And he's streaky. I understand that he's streaky, and he may get on a hot streak, but I need to see that hot streak.
But I'm gonna tell you something. Mooney, the young guy
I love Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney, Trubisky wouldn't be able to utilize him. Dick Foles gives you the best opportunity to use all of your weapons in the receiving game because you're not gonna be able to run the ball.
Right.
He has a more lively arm. He has a better deep ball. Right.
He definitely has a better deep ball. I'm not gonna say a livelier arm because Trubisky has a gun. He's just not accurate down the field. Which to your point, he does. He has a stronger arm than Foles, but he just doesn't have accuracy. He'll overthrow him by 10 yards. Foles has that similar to Russell Wilson, drop it in the bucket, get some air up under it, let you run up under it, which I agree. I agree with that. As far as Darnell Mooney is concerned, Foles gives Darnell Mooney the best chance to be successful. So that I do agree with that. What you got, Stephon?
No, I was just going to say two things that the Bears need to do. I think, one, we got to see Matt Nagy's creativity, man. He's supposed to be one of the offensive geniuses in the league. Right. You got to find ways to get Darnell Mooney, Anthony Miller the ball, whether it's just quick, screens or just quick slants, something quick, because Foles hasn't been as accurate this year throwing it deep to Darnell Mooney. He's been wide open on occasion. He's missing them. And the second thing I say, defense got to create more turnovers. I know they usually are tight in the red zone, but they got to find ways. Khalil Mack getting strip sacks or doing something in the secondary, man. Get some turnovers.
I agree. And they had so many opportunities against the Saints last week. It was frustrating. Eddie Jackson had a pick he should have had that he dropped. Roquan Smith had a pick six that would have won the game when he cut in front of Jared Cook and let it slip through his hands. I mean, they got to take advantage of those opportunities.
It's supposed to be in 6-1, Chris.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So I mean, and the defense keeps us in games. Keeps us in games, even the games that it looked like we weren't going to win. Detroit, Atlanta, defense made plays to toward the end to keep us in those games. At the beginning of the year, I tell you, Danny Trevathan to me was looking very slow. I was starting to wish that the Raiders took him instead of Kwiatkowski at that particular time. But he's feel like he's starting to kind of round into shape a little bit. I love our defense. I like our linebacking core is good. We get pressure with force. So I like where we're going defensively, but we gotta turn the corner at some point. Hopefully we can do it against Tennessee. Because I don't care how good of a defense you got, if Derrick Henry get rolling, it's not going to be a fun day. So that's our squad rep. And I tell you what, we're going to do a quick thing with Dallas as well. Have y'all been following the Cowboys?
Man, the Cowgirls, we've been watching.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm trying to find something good. I honestly, for Eric, I feel bad. I don't see anything good. Ezekiel Elliott's not looking good. Amari Cooper's not looking good. Michael Gallup, maybe.
If you remember correctly, when we started talking about my keys for the Cowboys, I said the things that I'm most excited to see was their offensive line.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is what kept that team on top. When they was balling, they was mauling.
Right.
At that line.
Right.
But they was throwing everybody out the club when back in the day. But not right now, this is not even close to the same offensive line. You can't expect
I mean, Smith is out. Collins is out. Fredrickson retired, I think. I mean, that whole line from 2017, 2018 is gone. So
and Dak was able to cover it up with some really good quarterback play. Now you take Dak out of there, they're completely naked.
They're the Jets. they are, as bad as the Jets.
I don't know if they're that bad, but
hey man, they did a thing on ESPN the other day where they said like they called one of the sports books and with the Nucci at quarterback, the Cowboys were a 1.5 point favorite against the Jets. If they played the Jets, 1.5, that's pretty much even. That you know,
he's
you
not even
talking
the quarterback no more. They bringing Garrett in for this.
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert. Is Garrett Gilbert is his quarterback in this week?
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert.
So I mean, they're down to their fourth quarterback. So unfortunately, that the talent is there in Dallas. They got to get another coach. I don't know what it is they need to do.
They got to turn over that roster.
Huh?
They got to turn over that roster as well.
They got to turn over the roster and much talent. I take a few players off that Cowboy roster. I know Cincinnati would love to have Jalen Smith and a healthy Vander Esch. You know, it's players on that team that seem not Trevor Lawrence, but Lawrence on the D end. Lawrence they got the names, they got the potential. But they just, for whatever reason, they are not putting it together. So that's rough for those Cowboys. And then for Mike, you know, I guess we talk about the Detroit Lions a little bit. Detroit was coming on. They were coming on a little bit the last few games. They pulled out one against Atlanta. Seemed to be they got talent. Stafford is going to be Stafford. They got Hawkinson at tight end, the Galladay, you know, who's kind of in and out of the lineup. They got talent.
They're 3-4. Yeah.
Huh?
They're 3-4 right now. So
they're 3-4. So they're coming on. They're coming along. They're a team that look like they might get healthy. Adrian Peterson has been playing pretty good, and DeAndre Swift been holding down the backfield. So they got talent. I'm actually Detroit is one of them teams that at the end of the year you might not want to be facing them. They may not be in the playoff hunt, but they're kind of one of them games that'll dash your playoff dreams at the end because they'll knock you off in the later weeks. So I think they got an upside. I think they need to replace their coach. I think Patricia he's not Belichick. He wants to be Belichick, but he's not. So I would love to see Caldwell come back to Detroit because they weren't bad under Caldwell. Caldwell was a good coach for them, I thought. So
they have to upgrade the coach.
Gotcha.
And, you know, but like I say, Matthew Stafford right now can get hot at any time, you know, and he'll ruin somebody's day on any given day. But the problem is he's not consistent. Week in and week out. Right.
And a lot of it's not. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not his. It is him. I mean, because the offensive line is kind of hit or miss from time to time, but in the end, he has to make better decisions. When he makes good decisions, they are effective. So wanted to get Mike and Eric a little love on their teams. Unfortunately, the Cowboys, we didn't have a whole lot of love to give them, unfortunately, but he knows that. So, so we're going to move on now to our next topic now. We're going to go to our overrated and underrated segment. So this is just in general. This could be player, coach, team, whatever the case may be. Who has been overrated to you this year, and then underrated? Stefan, who you got as your overrated team or player or whatever going into this week?
Okay, so this is tough because it's a lot of players to me in the NFL that had the name and they haven't been producing, or there's flaws in their game. I think they get a little too much of the credit in the team game. I'm not gonna go back and get on y'all boy David Johnson this week, you know. But I say overrated. I'm gonna go, man. This might surprise people. I say Phillip Rivers, man. I think last couple of years he's been an overrated quarterback, man. He, you know, up there in age, can't push the ball down the field. That's my biggest thing with Phillip Rivers, and he's gonna give you some every game. He's gonna turn the ball over.
He'll give you a chance to make a play.
I think he's kind of like I was mentioning before with Andy. Like if you get pressure on him, he's gonna, you know, just throw the thing up. Last week he had a good game getting it to Naheem Hines, actually one of my good friend's cousin. He balled out last week, but that's his thing. He's gonna get it down. If he consistently can get it down to the running backs, let them make plays, or his tight ends let them make plays, he's okay. But the thing with Phillip Rivers is that he came in, they paid him good money, took Jacoby Brissett's job, and Jacoby Brissett was a pretty, I say above average quarterback. You know, when he was healthy, he's above average. He's not a game breaker or anything, but at the same time, I don't think he was gonna lose you games. You know. But Phillip Rivers, sometimes he could press the issue and lose your games, and I think he's overrated. I think when he got there, everybody, oh yeah, Colts are Super Bowl contenders, and I don't see it. Like they don't have the receivers. Ty is I probably could have used Ty because I think Ty is probably one of the most overrated receivers in the league, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I go with Phillip Rivers is most overrated. He doesn't scare me. Like if you play the Colts, I don't fear their quarterback play. You know, I more so fear the run game. Chris knows I'm high on Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you took him.
He kind of disappointed me lately, but yeah, I say Phillip Rivers overrated.
Okay.
Underrated. I think I'm gonna have to go with Teddy Bridgewater, man. I think Teddy B is Teddy Two Gloves. He's maybe underappreciated. Teddy's on the opposite side of Phillip Rivers. He's not gonna turn the ball over. Some might say a game manager, but I see him, this year minus last game against Atlanta. He's been turning a new leaf, kind of pressing the ball a little bit downfield, using Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, those guys, getting them the ball, man. And I definitely think with McCaffrey coming back, that'll help him, give him another valve, another weapon to use, out of the backfield, line him up in the slot, whatever they have to do. So Teddy he can get out and run a little bit. Not the fastest quarterback, not a true scrambler, but he's accurate, man, and he's not going to turn the ball over. He could win you a game or two down the stretch. So I'm not thinking Carolina's going to do well down the stretch, but I am, I do think he's underappreciated, undervalued.
I agree. Teddy Bridgewater is one of those players that is going to make himself. I mean, he has I think he had signed a 2-year contract, but he's going to be a highly sought free agent in a couple of years when he comes out. I just think that they may look for another quarterback. Just know that Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator. So if he stays there, unless he takes a head coaching job, Joe Brady he wants to get one of these guys, that he's coach, I think. But Teddy Bridgewater definitely is an underrated guy. Like you said, not as respected for whatever reason. All right, Chuck, what you got? What's your overrated and underrated for this season so far?
I would say so far, for some reason, Kenyon Drake comes to my top of my head because I expected a lot more out of him going into the season, and he's disappointed quite a bit for me on that front. And so, maybe I can't really say he's been overrated by everybody. I don't know how, across the league.
He was thought to have a big year considering what he did when he came there from Miami. He was thought that people said that he would be a top fantasy back coming in. But like you said, I think he's had one big game this year where he had like 160 and 2 touches in one game. But other than that, but I tell you what, lately, the past couple of games, he has been he was one of them guys that get the ball and kind of tiptoed. And I remember them saying that the coach told him, just hit the hole. Don't worry about it. Just hit the hole. Take the play where it's supposed to go. And it's slowly kind of building up again. So he may do it, but like you say, Chase Edmonds was starting to get a lot of his reps. And I think on the Monday when they played Seattle, I think it was, they were saying they expect Chase to take over that starting spot at some point.
I think Drake's not even playing this week. So if Chase balls out this week, I think that's his job.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be a homer when I say underrated. Like Derek Carr, man. Derek Carr is the Rodney Dangerfield of the NFL. He can't get no respect by nobody in the NFL. I think when you look at his completion percentage above 70%, last time I checked, I don't know if it dropped after the last game or two. But protects the ball, has the upside to sling it with anybody in the league. He's not going to be that take a risk guy. He's going to miss out on some larger plays, some bigger plays because he doesn't buy a lot of time with his feet. But that's his downside. He doesn't buy a lot of time with his feet, but he knows how to take the throw that's there. And what I think he's going to show is that he knows how to win. And so we hadn't gotten there yet. A little early to be talking like that. But I do believe that when people start talking about the better quarterbacks in the league, Derek Carr is always way down the list. But I believe by the end of the year, it's going to be up there.
I agree with you. But I tell you, one of the problems that he's underrated, I think, is Gruden. I think Gruden everybody talk about Gruden. His best quarterback is his next quarterback. That's kind of what, that's the thing with Gruden. I think Gruden has a lot to do with that perception of David Carr. But like you said, other than maybe last year, he's been good. He was an MVP candidate a couple of years ago, before he broke his back or something like that in that playoff game or something.
Ankle.
His ankle, yeah, and missed the playoffs. David Carr's got talent. I mean, but I think if Gruden backs him a little more, if Gruden publicly comes out and says that Carr's like, it's like I feel like Gruden doesn't support him as much, and maybe that changes this year because he's doing well this year, so maybe that changes. But I think Gruden is the reason for a lot of that disrespect that Carr gets. So I mean, but I like Carr. I think Carr is a good quarterback, and he's still young enough to, I think he's going to be. I think he's the guy if he supports that and stop flirting around with these college QBs and stuff like that. I think he could be the guy. Now on my side, I think the most overrated, and I don't know if he's been overrated this year because he's been terrible, is Carson Wentz as overrated. Everybody wanted to make Carson Wentz the chosen guy coming in, and he's been terrible. They were talking about last week. He's putting up Jameis Winston type numbers. Worse than Jameis Winston type numbers. That this year that and we saw what happened to Jameis Winston. He was a number one pick, and he's got benched and sent to another team. I don't know if that happens to Carson Wentz. Maybe it should because he's not playing well. He has the most turnovers in the league. He's taking the most sacks in the league, and he tries to play that hero ball a little too much. And he's costing his team. Now, luckily, he's in the NFC least, so he lucked up that they're winning. I think they're leading the division, and do they have 3 wins, 2 wins, 3 wins?
Three wins, and they're up by 1 game over my Washington Redskins.
And I was going to bring that up. I said, Chuck, that was one of Chuck's out of the box predictions earlier this year that the Washington Redskins would win the division. And I agree with you. I said I could see that happening. With that front seven, if they get any kind of offensive production, they can definitely still win that division. So I got to give you props on that one. That was a good pick. That was a good pick. I think they could definitely turn that around down there in Washington. And as far as my underrated player this year, and I had a couple of options I wanted to do, but that was a guy that's kind of come out of nowhere for Philly, actually, and become their number one receiver, Fulgham. I don't know if y'all have seen this guy. He exploded on the scene earlier in the year, had like a 12-catch, 150-something yards, and I immediately picked him up off free agency in one of the leagues that I'm in. So I think that he's come in and he's kind of been what they wanted Alshon Jeffrey to be. He's a possession guy, but he can still kind of take the top off the defense. I've enjoyed watching him kind of come out of nowhere. Him and also Claypool in Pittsburgh. They both of them have kind of jumped on the scene around the same time. But I think Fulgham has actually been a little more consistent than Claypool. Although Claypool has kind of established himself, he's had some up and down games, but Fulgham has been pretty much consistent with his numbers since kind of coming on the scene. So I like him as my underrated player. He's going to be a player to watch in the future. So that's our overrated and underrated segment. Now we're going to jump over to embrace a little debate right now. So we got a couple of topics that we're going to discuss, and the first one, and we're all just kind of going to jump in here. It's just the three of us. So I'll let actually this first one, Antonio Brown signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to make them the favorite, not just to win the NFC, but to win the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay is now the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Who was that, Stefan? Was that the topic I had for you?
No, but I'll speak on it. I'll speak on it only because I think beginning of the year that was one of my that was my pick that the Bucks wouldn't make the playoffs. So
Right.
they kind of making me look crazy, man. But I'm gonna double down, man. I'm gonna say on paper it looks good, but we're yet to see him play, man. On paper, you add another weapon to that offense. But still, I'm gonna say no, man. They got to win. They got to beat the Saints first. I don't think the Saints really have played their best football recently without Michael Thomas. But I think the Bucks, all the weapons. I don't see Antonio Brown really putting them over the top. I think Brady already has Godwin that he uses a lot out of the slot, giving him the ball in slants. Mike Evans in the red zone. He's more so a red zone target now.
Right.
He doesn't get those deep balls that Jameis could get to him. Tom's using